Hello, I'm Richard Osmond, the President and CEO of Element 29 Resources. Element 29 Resources is a copper-focused exploration company with projects in Peru. We're listed on the TSX Venture Exchange as well as on the OTCQB in the US, as well as on the BBL in Lima.
Richard, lovely to meet you. We've not met or spoken before. So if you don't mind, for the audience listening and watching at home, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Yeah, I'm mostly major mining company focused. I sort of started my career, early part of my career in mostly working on nickel projects. I worked on the Voisey Bay project back in the early part of my career with the people that discovered it, and then went on to work with Inco, which is now Vale, on the project. Drilled off a lot of ore for Robert Friedland over that period of time for diamond fields, and then I went to work with Falconbridge, which is now Glencore at Raglan, which again drilled off quite a bit of ore before being hired by Anglo American to explore for nickel in the north and also copper in the south. I was involved a bit in the due diligence on Pebble before Anglo's acquisition, and then of course I resigned from Anglo in 2008 and started Globetrotters, which is a private prospect generator that eventually spent about 7 years building a copper portfolio in Peru, which then got spun into Element 29 back in 2018, and then got listed in late 2020.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. So big company mentality. Do you think, or have you kind of come over to the dark side and to understand how the junior space works?
Yeah, I'm very much, I'm very pragmatic, I guess I would say, and I like to explore. So I think I just sort of felt that I could do a better job exploring on my own, and finding the funds to be able to do that, and just be able to get on the ground and drill and make discoveries.
And who have you brought in with you? Who are the team members that we need to know about?
Yeah, well, I mean, the initial startup, we had David Elliott from Maywood Securities. He was a big backer of our company, and David's been a loyal supporter ever since. And he's one of the founders of Maywood, of course, and he's also a member of the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame. So a big part of supporting us over the years. Manuel Montoya is our chief technical officer in Peru, and he resigned from Tech actually and joined our group, and spent about 30 years in the mining sector. He's originally from Peru, of course, and he lives there now, and he was actually involved in the discovery of Zafranal with Tech. He was first boots on the ground, made a call to stake that ground, and of course that project got the environmental approval to move forward with development in Peru. So major success for Tech and Manuel. We also have Brad Mercer on our board as chairman. Brad used to be the chief operating officer for Capstone Mining, and he retired back in 2022. And he helped build Capstone from a $20 million market cap out to $7 billion kind of.
That's going through the phases, isn't it? Right. Okay. So hugely relevant experience. Let's talk about the business plan for you guys. Okay, you've given us some clues. You've been picking up copper assets, predominantly copper assets in up and down the Peruvian western coastline. What did I know what you set out to do in terms of prospect generating, but now you're an explorer proper. So what's the model today?
Yeah, so we put back when Globetrotters first started, they actually made a new discovery. We made a new discovery called Elida. It was sort of a grassroots discovery based on generator work that we're doing in Peru. That project got optioned to Lundin Mining, and Lundin drilled about close to 10,000 meters on the project. And then I guess the price of copper went to like $2 a pound, and they had gotten involved in some other acquisitions. So they decided to shut down worldwide exploration at a greenfields level. So we got the project back 100% unencumbered, and we decided to take that project then and put it into Element 29 along with three other projects that were acquired in Peru back in 2015-16 when, most major mining companies weren't doing a whole lot of exploration. So it takes about a mine cycle to build a portfolio like this, to get access to that kind of ground in a world-class mining jurisdiction.
Right. Okay. Okay. So four assets, small couple. Like you've had a good run of it this year in terms of share price for sure. Certainly from sort of April, May onwards, and specifically recently. So you kind of look like you're getting there, but it's been recent growth. So how does a relatively small company fund four assets and moving them along in country, or is there kind of priority order of play for you?
Yeah, our flagship project is Elida, which I mentioned we discovered, and with getting it back from Lundin with close to 10,000 meters of drilling, we did another 5,000 meters after it got listed. We raised that money, and we then put out an initial resource estimate at the inferred level. So we had like 321.7 million tons of 0.32 copper, 0.03 molybdenum or moly, and 2.61 grams per ton silver at a 0.2 cutoff with a strip ratio of about 0.74 to 1. So that's really been, we're trying to advance that to a PEA level and get some interest in, potentially trying to potentially sell that in the future, I think is really our business plan. And then continue to advance our other projects, which we're getting drill permitted, so that we can get them into the pipeline as well.
Okay, so you're it's simple in the sense that you're explorers and therefore know what you're not. Getting it through to PEA stage, you think will give you the kind of the best return on the investment so far, and then make it someone else's problem, or do you retain some part of that? I mean, how would you hope to structure something like that?
Yeah, no, I think it's really we'd like to sell the project. We're not interested in doing any kind of option agreement with a company. We'd like to get it to the stage, show the value, continue to de-risk it essentially, and show that it has potential for that we can continue to grow the resource base and get it up from that 321 million tons to hopefully over half a billion, and then also be able to potentially get the grades up a bit as well. So that's really our key objective in the last couple of drill programs, and also the one that we're currently doing right now.
And who are potential partners then? Because obviously we know Peru probably sits behind Chile in terms of one of the biggest producers of copper in the world, but are they all local? Are they private? Or is there foreign direct investment in country? I mean, who do you appeal to?
Yeah, look, if we can get it over 500 million tons, I think and there's some really good credits there with molybdenum and moly and silver. So I think overall, I mean, if you look at Peru as a jurisdiction, it has like free trade agreements with Canada and the U.S. It also has bilateral investment treaties with Canada and U.S. and also China has free trade and investment treaties. So mining companies are willing to go into a place like Peru and spend the billions of dollars that it takes to develop these kind of projects. So we're pretty open to being sort of that next low-hanging fruit that's potentially going to be available to acquire at some point. If you look at recent acquisitions in Peru, Lundin Mining, as you know, just acquired the La Arena 2 deposit from Pan American Silver. That's like 685 million ton resource of about 0.39 copper, 0.2 gold kind of thing. So, that's sort of, I think that's a realistic goal for us to get into that sort of realm, and that continue to expand our our other projects to tier one discoveries as well.
Right, and how do you value something like Elida as it stands today, and what more have you got to do in terms of that de-risking to get through to delivery of a PEA?
So right now there's about 1 million tons of contained copper on the books, and if you look at a valuation of value per pound in the ground, I guess, based on our market cap. We're currently trading at about 45 cents. So we have like a $50 million market cap. So, I mean, I would say we're based on just the copper alone, we're trading at about a one cent per pound in the ground kind of thing, or maybe a little bit more, but not much, um, between 1 and 1.5 cents. So I think there's lots of room to grow. A lot of acquisitions certainly happen at a much higher valuation than that, probably 20 to 30 cents per pound in the ground. But it really depends on how far along you de-risk the asset, I think, a lot of cases.
Right. Okay. And this comes down to the scale and the grade for you, obviously, and whatever a PEA is kind of a sort of what you hope it can be. Type discussion. But is that good enough? Do you see a lot of transactions happening at PEA level?
Well, I mean, some actually happen before you get to that level. If you look at Lundin Mining, for example, I don't think they put out any kind of technical report on their deeper Aurora deposit. I think there was a report out on their Filo de Sol open pit resource. But certainly, I mean, that was acquired for, about $4 billion kind of thing. So it gives you an idea of, the value you can create with a project like, a really good quality copper project in a world-class jurisdiction. So Peru is definitely, I mean, I think a lot of the big mining companies would much rather be, developing a project in Peru, where you have those protections in place to allow for, protection against any capital investment in the country.
Right. Okay. And obviously, we've seen sort of down in Chile, like some of the difficulties there, not in terms of infrastructure type difficulties, in terms of access to water and power and roads, etc. And altitude always throws up something into the mix as well. So with Elida, do you suffer from any issues around those infrastructure points?
No, I think Elida is very strategically well located. We would say it's low elevation, and it's only like 100 kilometers south of Antamina, 200 kilometers north of Lima. You can drive up the Pan American Highway from Lima and then go in about 75 kilometers from the coast. There's a hydroelectric facility about 15 kilometers away. We're closer to the Antamina port than what Antamina is, and we can actually likely drive the concentrate directly to that port within like an hour and a half of the project. They're also putting in the Chancay megaport, which just got inaugurated by by the president of Peru as well as China. And that's going to be used to ship materials from all over South America to Asia. And we're actually about 150 kilometers away from that port as well. So it gives us lots of strategic advantages for developing a project like this. It'll be, we feel, likely a low cost operation kind of thing. And
right. Okay.
What's also neat about the project is it's we expect it to produce a really clean copper concentrate. The project is the mineralization associated with the deposit is quite low in arsenic. So we expect that a lot of the projects these days, certainly in the high Andes, they tend to come with a lot of arsenic associated with it, and then a lot of smelters around the world won't take concentrates that have over 0.5% arsenic associated with it. So, we feel that we will be able to produce a con with significantly less arsenic.
Okay.
So it will be strategic in that you can blend it with other materials, so it'll probably sell at a premium.
Right. You've already done some network then, by the sounds of it.
No, but we're planning to do that, but we know, I think in the assay intervals that we have, we're getting like 40 ppm arsenic. So, if you do the math, you're not even close to that half 0.5% threshold kind of thing, right?
Okay, and just in terms of doing business, like you've got lots of mines, you've already name dropped a few of them, some big mines, but every country's got its own issues. With regards to the permitting around not just exploration, but environmental, etc., what's that look like in Peru?
Yeah, the permitting process in Peru is definitely very rigorous. It takes time. They're certainly streamlining that. During COVID, it got a little out of hand where you're waiting 2 to 3 years for permits just to drill. But what I would say is that, eventually permits do get provided in Peru. You get them. For example, Zafranal just got its environmental approval approved. The environmental approval to start developing that mine, and Quellaveco, which is owned by Anglo, just went into production 2 years ago. So, these types of open pit deposits are definitely, moving forward.
Right. So there's no political risk as such. It's just admin heavy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when we do like our baseline study work for drilling, we've been most of the communities we deal with are indigenous, so we have to do a DIA process, which requires us to get permitted for about drilling 40 drill platforms, and which is then valid for about 5 years. But we have to sort of do like air quality sampling, water quality sampling, and soil sampling baseline studies prior to drilling, during, and then after. And things like that. We have to do a lot of work to assess the archaeological, I don't know if you call it risk, but certainly any sort of disturbance to any archaeological sites and things like that. So there's a lot of things that you had to do, and you had to be very careful of. And I think that's, in the long term, I think that's a good thing. It's good to be prudent and make sure that you're not having a significant impact on the environment.
Right. So obviously, I think that comes back to Manuel Montoya, who you mentioned earlier. He's a Peruvian, not necessarily local, but he understands the need to be sensitive around all of these issues. Yeah, and I only ask that in the context of wherever you go in the world, there's also social license is such a big part of the ability to do business consistently in country. I mean, is there how big is the team on that front? Is it just him fronting up, or are there other kind of processes that you have in place to deal with that?
Oh no, like we have a team in place whereby Manuel oversees that. He's a country manager, but also chief technical officer. So a huge amount of experience exploring throughout the entire Andes for tech. And before that, it was like Tech Caminco and then Caminco. So he has a tremendous amount of experience in country, as you can imagine. But we also have health and safety officer, hired as part of the team. That also, as part of the drill program, you have to have someone actually involved in overseeing that and reporting back to the government on a sort of a monthly basis on our activities. We also have community relations support. So so we spend a lot of time building and keeping a good relationship with the communities that our host communities, I guess, and our CSR support team. We have in place do a really good job of making sure that we understand the concerns and the needs of the community. I mean, we try to provide the community with economic benefit. I think that's really the key. And we while we're drilling, we hire about 15 community members, and we rotate them on about a 2-week cycle. So while we have them working with us, we do a lot of health and safety training. And of course, that's always really positive, and that gets back into the community. And also, we do train them on how to be technicians to run a drill program. They do a lot of work with cutting the core and sampling the core and those kind of aspects of the drill program. And also, they help out with the drillers, the drilling company as well. Where they provide helpers with the drill program. So So lots of benefits, I mean, it's not like we're a mine where we can, we're generating cash flow. We're doing our best to provide support for the community where we can.
Right. Okay. Okay. I just think it's really important, as a kind of foreign entity and a foreign public entity, to be aware that those can be problems down the line. Sounds like you're handling it well. So just coming back on the Met stuff, I know you said it's quite simple to do the math, but at the same time, you're going to need to demonstrate to the market what that looks like. Is there a kind of Met plan? Is Met work plans?
There is. Well, while we're drilling and sampling all of the rejects from the sampling, we actually store in nitrogen bags to prevent it from oxidizing. So that makes it available for doing Met work when we decide to do it. So the plan was to do it this fall, but we haven't actually. We've put out tenders to get that work done. We haven't actually made a final decision on who's going to do it, but I mean, it's very close to being prepared to do.
Okay, and I guess obviously with all expression companies, it's always about drilling. So, are you in the middle of something right now, or you just finished a program? What's the program for next year look like?
Yeah, so we're right now we laid out about a 6,000 meter program to show potential to infill within the existing resource. Like within that 322 million ton resource, we have about 60 million tons of about 0.5% copper, and about 0.5% copper. I think about 0.332 moly and about 3 grams per ton silver. So there's a higher grade starter pit, and what we want to do is and essentially that outcrops on surface. And what we want to do is we want to be able to try and expand that. We'd like to get it up to closer to 100 million tons, but I mean, obviously we have to do the work to be able to see if that's potentially possible, or possible. But whatever the case may be, that's sort of our objective for this program, and also to let the drills run outside of the existing pit shell, to be able to show potential to expand the resource base at depth and away from the existing resources. So, and we're currently drilling 2 holes that are about halfway done, and we're hoping to get those completed before the end of the field season, and then maybe start up again in Q1 of next year. Continue that program.
Okay, and so what's you've an acre of the kind of copper? What's the kind of copper equivalent number when you kind of throw moly in there? And
we don't generally report that. I don't think it's something that we can do until we get the metallurgical work done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like people reporting just straight numbers, but sometimes we get requests to kind of give people a sense of what could be. Okay, so that's a 6,000 meter drill program, and and what do you need to do in terms of delivering a PEA? I mean, what are you going to need to spend? How much more time are you going to need to spend? How many more meters or dollars are you going to need to spend to be able to deliver that?
That's a good question. I think I mean, obviously, if we can continue to grow this resource, it'll take more drilling to get it to a PEA level. But right now, we're sort of anticipating about 25,000 to 30,000 meters of drilling, and right now we're before we started this campaign, we had about just over 16,000 meters completed. So roughly another 10,000 meters to maybe 15, depending on how things go.
Okay, so I'll take you from like 320 million ounces to you hope 500,000 ounces, 500 million ounces, yeah?
At an inferred level, yeah.
An inferred level, right? Okay, interesting. Okay, and that would be for you the optimum size to kind of put this PA together. Okay, understood. Right, and so that will go through. But you haven't answered the question on how long you think that'll take. I guess, is that a couple more seasons? Is that a couple more years? And if you, I don't know what. I guess it depends on money, right? But I get it. But ideally, what would that look like?
Yeah, so we're sort of anticipating, 2 to 3 year program to finish up and get this thing to a level where we feel that we've tested the potential of the system. It's about a 2.5 kilometer by 2.5 kilometer footprint, and within that we have about 5 targets. We really only tested one of those 5. So there's still lots of room to expand the resource and also make some new discoveries within the system.
Okay. And then you do that, and obviously everything else. I mean, you can't do nothing in the background with the with Florida Cobre and Paca and Pahaya. How do they advance at whatever speed you feel you need to advance those? Because you're gonna have to, at some point you have to kind of get after one of them if you can offload Elida, right?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of Peru is the cost of holding ground is relatively inexpensive. You're looking at about $3 a hectare. So we have what we want to do is we want to get them permitted and get them into our pipeline, and then look to put some funding in place to do some preliminary drilling on those. Once the drill permits are in place, and the permits are valid for 5 years. So really, our main focus is to move Elida forward. But I mean, if we see an opportunity to get in and do some drilling on these projects, other projects, just to get like the first couple of holes into these things, then we'll definitely do that.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, okay, that's a nice first pass on what you're doing there. You're definitely hitting the thematic at the right time. That's for sure. What's your read on the copper market at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep telling people I've been exploring for copper for a long time, and these things are really hard to find, especially in stable mining jurisdictions. Peru is the second largest copper producer, has held that position for quite a while. I think it sort of moves back and forth now with like the DRC, but still, I mean, if I'm going to be exploring for copper, I'm definitely going to be exploring in Peru. Much cheaper to hold ground, and I think it's been underexplored, compared to some other jurisdictions like Chile. So, and I think, I mean, you're looking at BHP moving into countries like, Argentina to look for assets. That sort of gives you an idea of how tight the supply chain looks in the future, kind of thing.
It certainly does. There seems to be less and less good copper stories around, and people are rootling around trying to find the next big thing. But well, like Richard, appreciate the kind of run through. You're on the radar now. We look forward to staying in touch and seeing how you get on with the drill program and everything else that you're up to. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it.